I'd like to start this video with something personal. I've not been sleeping well lately. My days have been busy, but for about the past week, at night, I'll go to bed exhausted and I'll sleep for about an hour, maybe two, and I'll wake up and I don't want to get out of bed. I'll just lay there tossing and turning for hours, and it's really frustrating to me. Sleep deprivation is something I've suffered with for decades, so I really dislike it, and I thought I had kind of conquered that. So it has frustrated me really bad, and I'm not sure where it's coming from, or I wasn't sure where it was coming from. And last night was kind of the crescendo of it all. I hit the ground running yesterday, and it was a long day, and I got a lot accomplished. It was a very productive day. I come in very tired, but very satisfied that I had accomplished what I set out to do. And I laid down and I finally dozed off, and I thought, well, I'm going to be able to sleep now. And it didn't happen. And anger is my kind of go-to emotion. When you've spent years in pain, you don't go through the crying. All that's gone. There's no crying and breakdown and all of that. I get angry, and it just seems to be my go-to. Mars went into his own house yesterday, which is aspecting my first house, and I have Mars in my first house. So this is the two powerful positions for Mars, is Capricorn and Aries. And I felt that, and I got a lot done. I was able to use that Mars energy, and it really worked well for me. But when I woke up again, and I knew it was going to be hours of just laying there tossing and turning, I got angry about it. Finally got angry about it. Mars and Aries. And so I decided, where is this coming from? What's going on here? Because it's obvious it's something outside of myself. And I'm looking at the stars, and I'm not really understanding it. Where this dynamic is playing out the last few days. And so I decided to look somewhere else. So I closed my eyes and just tried to really tune into this frustrating energy, and the deeper I went into it, it kept dragging me downwards in a downward motion. It's not coming from myself, and it's not coming from above. This is coming from below. It's emanating from beneath me, and it almost felt like a warning. It feels like a warning. It feels like an earthquake warning. And in the last video, I talked a lot about today, which is the 6th. And then you have February the 6th. Really, before that, those planets are bunched up from about the 1st of February all through the 11th. While the sun is still there with the moon. That whole week, all that energy. And then we get the Moon, Jupiter, Venus conjunction on the 10th with Mars in Aries. Everything on the cardinal cross. It doesn't get much more serious. We've been playing on the mutable cross for quite a while now. especially with Saturn, Jupiter, and Pluto just hanging out there all year long, doing their little dance. Right now, we've got change happening as everything starts to move into Capricorn. We've still got Mercury and the Sun in Jupiter's house. This is still about philosophy and ideology. But you're going to see more and more government control, Capricorn control, and there's more to it than just government and military. This has to do with agriculture. This has to do with education. Being ruled by the higher self, the upper chakra houses. But this is playing out in a lower chakra house. So's this. So's the Aries energy. That's lower chakra house. Let's do this real quick. I want to show you so you can see what today looks like. We have, I want to do the pillars. So, let me do it this way so we'll just incorporate the sun right into it. We'll do the solar pillar, the lunar pillar, moon's in Virgo today, the ladder, and the checkerboard floor. So we have the Sun and Mercury in Sagittarius in mutable fire. So they're right here in severity, in a sign of mutation. Anything on the mutable cross is there to change. So to bring about change. So Mercury definitely in play, and Venus fixing to come into it. Venus is fixing to hit that mutable cross and go through transmutation. So is Mercury. Now we got Pluto sitting here. And Pluto's been in and out of Capricorn, Sagittarius. Doing that retrograde dance right along with Saturn and Jupiter. Now, when Pluto gets ready to leave a sign and go into the next sign, if the alchemy of the previous sign has not been done, it will be done in a single day. Keep that in mind as we move forward. Saturn and Jupiter in Capricorn. That's right here with Pluto. Pluto's playing back and forth between here. This is Sagittarius and this is Capricorn. And here we have the Sun and Mercury. We have the Moon in Virgo, which is right down here. We have Venus in Scorpio. That's fixed water. That's right here. In Mercy. Venus is currently in Mercy. We have Neptune in Aquarius. That's right here. We have Mars and Uranus in Aries, cardinal fire, right here. Mars and Uranus. Moon. What else do we have? What are we missing? We're not missing anybody, are we? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Who are we missing? Got the Moon, Neptune, Mercury, Venus, Mars, Saturn, Jupiter, Pluto, Neptune, Uranus. They're all there. So we can see what's on the middle path. Venus in the path of mercy, but fixing to move it over here. Venus is fixing to move from here to over here. Now, let's take this away and let's go to the next month. Let's pull the moon over there on the 11th. Moon conjunct the sun. Moon conjunct sun. Now, I want to show you what this day looks like. This is an unusual day. Solar pillar. Lunar pillar. Ladder. Checkerboard floor. Everybody is right here. Sun, Moon, Saturn, Jupiter, Mercury, Venus, Pluto. We have Neptune right here. But right over here at the top of this pillar, we have Mars and Uranus still. And they're all cardinal. Everything, these two are cardinal, both of them. The prominent cardinal sign for masculinity, for the patriarch, is Aries. In the Chi-Rho, that's Aries, is that P, that middle bar that is over this whole age. And its nemesis is Capricorn right here. It hates Capricorn with a passion. It's a love-hate thing going on, because Mars, that rules this pillar, is actually exalted right here. He moves out of his war state in Aries. In Aries, he's make war. And Scorpio, it's about friendship, intimacy, sexuality, fantasy, and it's make love, not war. But in Capricorn, Mars is exalted, and there you get stuff done. So these two aspect each other on the cardinal cross. It'll look like that. That's the cardinal cross. It's the top kite or the top box, or however you want to look at it. I like doing the graphs because it helps a lot of you see this. So on this time, when all the planets move into Capricorn next month, it's going to be tight. Capricorn is about restrictions. This is a month to get your house in order. Be where you're going to be. Prepared to spend some downtime. I expect, but even between now and then, as the planets just start to move into Capricorn for the next 30 days, you're going to see earthquakes increase in frequency and in magnitude and in auspicious places, especially with everything bunching up on the cardinal cross, especially with Pluto finally making that exit. And when Pluto leaves that house sign, people haven't done their homework. Wow, let's go back to today. This whole thing, this whole year, this whole dynamic has been about Sagittarius. It's been about philosophy and ideology. And while Pluto was there, that alchemy was supposed to be done. You gotta take away the old to bring in the new. It's like finding out Santa Claus is not real. You gotta put on your new mask, your new face, your new paradigm, your new ideology. Where do we go from here? Well, if Santa's not real, Who is he? Well, who's bringing the presents? Well, why did you lie to me? Well, where does all this come from? It can leave you with a million questions. But to get the new, you have to get rid of the old. And that's what is occurring. For those who have not shifted in the paradigm of philosophy and ideology, if you have not put off that old way of thinking, it's going to be done for you. And it's going to be done volatilely. Fire, Pluto's in fire, so you can expect fire. Pluto's moving into Capricorn, you can expect earthquakes. It's both of them, both of Sagittarius and Capricorn are both aspecting Aries. One on the cardinal cross, Capricorn, and one in the fire element, Sagittarius. So Mars is in play in both positions, aspecting in signs of empowerment, only there to increase it. And I get this energy. I've had this frustration all week as Mars is moving from one side to the other. And I'm feeling it. It's very earthy. It's very earthy what's coming down. It's like a bubbling under my feet. It's coming up from the ground. All this energy that's frustrating me, it's not coming from the stars. It's not coming from myself. When I close my eyes and I just tune into that energy, where the hell is this coming from? What is this that's keeping me frustrated and tossing and turning? It's coming from beneath, from the collective subconscious, works from beneath. It's not something that's above us. It's something that's below us. Our higher self is above us, working with the upper chakras. But the upper chakra itself, Saturn, works with Pluto. It connects all the way back around. They're in that etheric world that you can't touch it. You can't see it. You can't smell it. You can't taste it. You can get glimpses of it, especially if your third eye's open. You can see into the other worlds. And they're worlds plural. There are many dimensions around us. When you open your third eye, it's very important that you come from the correct chakra. Because you don't know what door you're opening. What chakra are you opening? What energy are you emanating from? You need to know yourself before you go doing that, because you don't know what door you're opening. But that collective is a low energy. It's down there. I think that's what a lot of people refer to as Cthulhu. That it's our collective subconscious that has just, it's been there forever. It's been there from the beginning. The collective subconscious has probably been there longer than the collective conscience. Your subconscious is the part of you that's in the womb before you're born. It's already working in there before your conscious mind doesn't really kick in until you open your eyes and you see the light and you feel the cold on your skin when you're born and you take that first breath. That's when you join the collective consciousness. But you're already connected in vitro to it's very womb-like. It's very dark, it's cold, it's waiting to be birthed. Pluto, waiting to be birthed. And right now, people's paradigm, with those people who have not made the shift, are fixing to in a very volatile way. Some by fire and some by earth. Maybe even water. I don't see a lot of water in the stars, but Venus is there in Scorpio. And that's more icy, right? That's ice water. That's frozen water. Scorpio, it's solid, it's stable. It's water in its stable state, which we call ice. And Venus, I like Venus there because it makes the water, love purifies the water. Venus is the heart chakra, upper chakras, the upper chakras. But all this is coming from a very lower state. I feel the rumble. I feel the rumble beneath my feet, my being, and it's Mars. It's Mars and Uranus. It's disturbing my conscious mind, waking me up when I sleep. And it's coming from beneath my feet. Mars moves into his war state yesterday, and will be there until, oops, still in Aries on the 24th, moves into Taurus. Let's look at all this, and I get better understanding through the imagery over here, because they're just more accurate by far. Let's pull back to today. That's kind of spooky looking, isn't it? It looks like Saturn and Jupiter are the two eyes in the goat. Kind of creepy. Venus under the foot of Serpentarius. The sun in the back of the mind of the centaur. Mercury getting ready to leave and move into Capricorn with Saturn, Jupiter, and Pluto. Today, got to watch out from today, the 6th, all the way until Mars is out of Aries. Mars will do really well in Taurus. After February the 24th, things will become stable, fixed cross. Right now, they're going to be cardinal. That means shit going to be getting done. Need to get some stuff done. Now's the time to do it. Especially between now and the end of the month when Mercury goes retrograde. After Mercury goes retrograde, nope, you're not going to get anything done. So I have been really kicking butt lately. I am almost caught up on everything. And moving forward, I've just been frustrated and sleep deprived with what all's going on. All this energy, this lower chakra, lower realm, subconscious energy that's just kept me tossing and turning. And it's very aggravating to me. And I got to the point of anger and just popped earlier. And I decided, well, it's time to figure out, where is this energy coming from? What is this? And yeah, it's very Cthulhu-like. I'm not kidding. It feels like something bubbling under my feet. I'm trying to describe this energy the best way I can. It's something you kind of just know, you get used to, you identify, you recognize. Been there before, but there are no words or descriptive terms for it when you're talking outside of the physical construct that we understand. This is on a spiritual realm, on a frequency. It's like a sound that's emanating, and it's causing the ground under my feet to shake. When I close my eyes and I focus in on it, this energy that's keeping me awake or waking me up, it's so intense. And it's coming, I think it's there all the time, because I'm getting a lot done during the day, but I'm not able to shut it off. and go to sleep. It's still going. Therefore, it's coming. I can even feel it. It's coming from the subconscious, my own and the collective. My own, because the collective subconscious is in my first house with my higher self and the ruler of this age, Capricorn. And everybody else is fixing to show up, which is funny because this week I have a lot of guests coming. So I have some here and I have more coming. So yeah, everybody's coming to my house. So I need to be prepared for that as well. But I also feel the rumbling under my feet, and that when you talk about the cardinal, the change happens on the mutable cross. And like these Saturn-Jupiter conjunctions or these solstice and equinoxes, it's like the universe takes a picture. And whatever that picture says that day, that's what the universe is going to go on. That's what everybody gets in line. We're going to do this now. And all that happened pretty much this whole year in Sagittarius. Everything that was going on has been about Sagittarius and been about philosophy and ideology. And with that Pluto moving, and those of you who have not done that alchemy, which is most of the people in the world, they're still riding that emotional train, one or the other. They're on one pillar or the other pillar. They haven't found the middle pillar. You can see who's on the middle pillar. A lot of people fixing to be coming to the middle pillar. Excuse me. And it's going to be a shakeup. And it begins today as Mars moves into Aries in his warlike state. So anything could happen, especially for the next 2 months, really, until the end of February. But especially the more planets that move into Capricorn, and the more planets that move out of the mutable cross onto those cardinal crosses, the more powerful it's going to get. The more intense it's going to get. And it reminds me of my week. Every night it has been just a little worse than the night before, and a little worse than the night before, till now I just snapped. I've had enough. I'm pissed off now. I'm not getting sleep. What the hell's going on? What do I need to do to make this stop? And I feel like it's been somebody standing over me just pushing me. I am not addressing this. It feels like a warning. And I am not one for fear porn. I don't like to spread fear. It throws you into the lower chakras, which leaves you defenseless. And I would not have you defenseless. So I'm going to warn you in a way that would cause you to armor up. I need you to armor up. Most of you here, you've already done your philosophy, ideology work. You've gone through that shift in the past 10 years. The veils are coming down. You're not the same person you used to be 10 years ago. And it's been very mutable. It's been very unstable. It's been a roller coaster. But we're fixing to get some stability. It may be not the kind of stability you wanted or hoped for, but it will be stability. But to get to that, it's like an earthquake, a big one, to where everything just settles under the ground. A lot of times you'll go through these little quakes, a whole bunch of little quakes, and But after that one big quake and its aftershocks, things settled down. They settle down. They shift, everything shifts into its place. And that's what this feels like to me. Is I feel it's like the earth moving under my feet. That's what this energy feels like. Everything's moving. It's changing. But it's going to become more intense. The fixed cross would bring it to stability, but it's moving from the mutable cross right to the cardinal cross, this whole energy pattern. And then after the cardinal cross, it'll move to the fixed cross and become stable. It's almost like an intervention. Excuse me, I've had a sneezes, scratchy throat all week. Get me a drink of water. I want to talk about the energy that's coming. What would go, this energy I'm feeling is a shift. I'm feeling the shift, and it's a lower shift. It's a lower chakra shift. It's coming from under my feet, and it does feel very earthy. So beware of all that. But I want to talk about the Capricorn energy that's coming. Let's move it up. This energy here. In conjunction with this energy, this Mars Capricorn dynamic, because this is really played out in my life a lot. So I actually get to speak from personal experience here, not just something I've learned, but I have a big connection to this. Mars is my nemesis in Aries. It is but it is also my balance. Mars and Aries actually can balance me out because I have Mars in my first house already. But these two, this is like Moses, and this is his sister that he killed. That feminine axis is exactly what the Chi-Rho needs to balance out. The Chi-Rho is missing a part. It is not complete. It's only part of a symbol. It's a symbol, and it's 1.5. It needs to be 2.0. And I know how to get it there. Now, I want to talk about these two energies. Let me pull them back in together. Let's talk about the Ram first. I've done this before, but I'm going to do this again. And I'll do it another time if I have to. There's a YouTube channel called Angry Ram. And it's about Rambro and his offspring. Rambro's gone, but his offspring are there. And you get to experience the Ram firsthand. And what a Ram does is it hits its target head on. It's in its face. This Ram will hit this punching bag, and it puts it in reverse and backs up and headbutts it again and again and again. He never takes his eye off of it. It's in your face energy. It's coming at you. It wants you to know who's coming at you. It's in your face. You know exactly what you're dealing with here with this Aries energy. They're not hiding at all. This is in your face energy. This ain't hiding anymore. This is coming for you. That's that energy. Now, the bull. The bull stands in the middle of the field and just throws up dirt. And he puffs himself up and he snorts and he hollers. He's about intimidation. He really don't come at you unless you come at it or you run from it. If you show weakness or threatening, the bull allows you to make the first move. You make the choice. Ram ain't waiting for shit. The Ram's coming for you. You've invaded his space. You've come into his dynamic now. But the goat. The energy we can prepare for is a patient one. The goat's patient above all things. It will wait and wait and wait The goat will mind its own business, eat its grass, do its own thing, but it's watching, it's observing out the corner of its eye. And when that perfect opportunity comes, the goat hits you in the ass from behind, and you never see it coming. It can blindside you. And it's so patient, it waits for you to let your guard down. I like Venus in Capricorn. You get that long-suffering, patient heart. I don't have that. I have Mars here instead. But that's what we can expect. You have a debilitated, on this day, you have a debilitated Jupiter conjunct Venus. Or is that Saturn conjunct Venus on this day and conjuncts Jupiter on the 11th? She goes from one to the other. She's going to aspect Saturn, then Jupiter, then the Sun, Mercury, and then the Sun. By this point, Mercury's already retrograde, which is a communication breakdown, but all in Saturn's house. That means all of this is going to be under the control of the higher aspect, the higher self, the upper chakras. The upper chakras are the middle path, the middle pillar, that checkerboard floor and that ladder in Freemasonry. That's the middle path, that's the upper chakras. That's where you need to stay, in the middle. And most of them are going to be there, except for, it's like the whole world, this is world, this is earth, this is cardinal earth, representing the all, is going to be aspecting the conscious mind and our emotions. And this all these represents a people. They're going to be two peoples against the whole world. Instead of two against one, two against the all. Except for Neptune. There'll be no imagination there with a Mercury retrograde. And Mars is house of war. So, I don't take anything off the table. This is very fiery. Mars, he'll drop a big one when he's in his own house. We get the phrase, beware the Ides of March, term from Julius Caesar. Well, that was a saying that was quite appropriate for its time, because Mars was in the spring equinox at that time. Mars is no longer there. Mars no longer holds that position. So, it's not beware the Ides of March. It's just straight up beware Mars and Aries is the best way to say it. Beware Mars and Aries. Everything in its time. You got to see the wheels within the wheels. The worlds within the worlds. The dimensions within dimensions. It's quite complex to do. Now, I know I wasn't supposed to go here in this video, but I'm being prompted again, so I'm just going to do this. It's called the mouth of the fish, Fomalhaut, which is the tongue in the Aztec calendar. See if I can pull one up. I know a lot of you call this Mayan, but it's Aztec. The Mayans might have just copied it or told the stories that were handed down to them by the Aztec. But this is the mouth of the fish, or the fish mouth. Same thing as Fomalhaut, and actually translated out of the Arabic instead of the Greek. So, how many of you actually watched Secrets of the Super Gods? How many of you made it to the part where he showed you the guy with the tongue and how when the tongue moved to one side, it represented one eye. When it moved to the other side, it represented this eye. But when it's in the middle, it represents this eye. That's why we get this calendar. One of them shifts this way. This eye shifts this way for this axis. This eye shifts this way for this axis. This is a great representation of, this is the perfect symbol that we need right now, because this is Fomalhaut. And behind it is the mutable cross, this age. This calendar represents the end of Pisces and the beginning of Aquarius. And you even have a cardinal sign above it. Cardinal air. Very important symbolism here. You're also going to have it's showing you the symbols used for the mutable cross, the X. This is the X. He represents the T, right? He represents the fixed cross. But this is exactly the symbol we need. We need Fomalhaut ruling over this age. We've been in a mutable age with Aries ruling over it. We've had Aries ruling over us this whole time with the Cairo. A very patriarchal system. Well, this is patriarchal too. There are two male aspects. There's two mothers and there are two fathers. The two mothers are Capricorn and Cancer, and the two, I take that back. The mothers are water and earth, and fire and air. That Aries Libra aspect is the patriarch. Capricorn Cancer is the matriarch. Now when Moses came in the age of Aries, it was Moses, Aaron, and his sister Miriam. Miriam would represent the moon. The moon. Now, our Cancer, and she was swallowed up by the earth, Capricorn, and they just got rid of the matriarch altogether. So there's never been any balance. There's no balance on carrying around that masculine axis and just putting it over every age they can. This disempowers it. This is just the best symbol ever to me. I get it. I see what it is. I see what it's saying. It tells us the who, what, when, where, why, and how of it all. I understand the difference between the inner. You can even see some of the symbols are so similar to the ones we use. The lunar calendar, the solar calendar, and the outer calendar. They're all three here. The long count, the big picture, the hob. We even have what they call mundane astrology, which is day to day. That's really what lunar astrology is. It's the moon moves through a house every 2 days. So it's day-to-day astrology. And that's called mundane astrology. Now I'm seeing it as the observer from the middle pillar, big picture, long count calendar. I see the outer rim of it all. And how everything is projected inward. Everything projects inward. What do I mean by projecting inward? Let me buy me some space right here. There are different ways of looking at everything. We've talked about perspective, like the cube, and it being a dice. If I see a 1, then you see a 6. If I see a 2, then if you're opposite me, then you see the number 5. but regardless, they always add up to 7. Now, and there are only 11 rolls in dice. Because there are 2, you can't roll a 1. So the only choices are between 2 and 12, which is 11 moves. Now, in astrology, remember, there are different kinds. You have the solar pillar. That's Western astrology, and it's bent by 23 degrees. I call it the Leaning Tower of Pizza. And then you have the lunar, and then you have the middle path, the heaven and earth. There are 3 different ways of looking at it. Now, we're down here. We're the checkerboard floor. We're on earth. We're below. We're down here. But this is still an upper chakra. Venus. We start with Mercury, Venus, Saturn. Mercury, Saturn, Venus. Between upper and lower houses. Now, we have solar astrology, which looks at everything that the sun is in the middle. Sun is in the middle. We call that solar centric. And then we have lunar astrology, and it has the moon in the middle. It's lunar centric. But then you have the middle path, which is geocentric. That means the earth is in the middle. We are geocentric. To be geocentric, you have to be up, looking down. You have to come from the long count, and the hob is the mundane, which is the short count, ruled here. And the sun rides them both. The moon and the sun go around the same circles, but they're going this way. They go this way. Our day-to-day lives go counterclockwise, but the sun is moving through the long count, goes this way. There are 2 stories. One's told one way and one's told the other. While we're living out our day-to-day mundane lives, going counterclockwise, the sun is on a journey the other way. The heliocentric is going the other way. And they've tried to lock it so that it don't move. And they locked it using a lunar calendar to do it, to balance it out. But I don't know if that makes any sense to any of you, that everything up there is projecting to the center, projecting to the geocentric, but that's going to flip. The earth right now is the stage. All the lights are projecting down here. They project onto us. I believe the earth is the third eye. You have the masculine right eye, the sun, the feminine lunar eye, the moon left, and then the third eye. Right in the middle is the earth. And when it opens, then the projection goes from the center out. Right now it's like the lights above us are imploding down onto us. They're projecting down onto us. It's the show. They're the lights. They're us. But that's going to turn around. In the next stage, that turns around and the projection comes out instead of in. It's been this way. We don't know anything about history. I don't trust a damn thing. I've read so many books in my life. I read encyclopedias, shit, before I ever started school. So I'm kind of versed on the programming really well and what they expect us to think this place is. And what they might actually, the ones who did it probably believe it. It can be very convincing at times. But when you see through worlds and you see shit other people don't see, and you know there's more to this place than what they can put in books or are even willing to acknowledge. They go to great lengths to hide this, so they won't acknowledge it at all, which is a game we should be playing. They're actually showing us how to... Kelly wants me to stop and serve her for a moment. Okay, let me see if I can grab that train of thought back, because it was a good one. Because they're actually showing us what we need to be doing. The way the two pillars, the two sides of this dynamic that's playing out right now, the way they fight each other. There's a lot of slander going on, a lot of throwing mud at each other, so to speak. But when it's not what's there, it's what's not there. The greatest weapon they have been using on each other is what I call ignoring each other. I just give you an example. Say the president done something really great. Well, the news is not going to report it. They don't like him. So they're not going to report it at all. They're going to ignore him out of existence. Now, that's how we get rid of them. We ignore them out of existence. You turn the TV off. Cancel those damn subscriptions. I just stopped watching television a long time ago. I really can't tell you what's going on in the world other than links people send me and headlines when I'm scrolling through the internet. Now, Merlin showed us this. And in the movie Merlin, Queen Mab, they wanted to get rid of her. And what did they do? They turned their backs on her and they forgot her. They ignored her. You just turn your back on them and they don't exist anymore. You don't feed them your attention anymore. What we focus on is what we're manifesting. And the TV's been telling the people of the world what to focus on. For how long? We don't know. We don't know. We've been lied to so much, we don't know anything about history to be true. I don't believe a damn bit of it. None of it. To me, it's all 100% fabricated. It's all a lie. But what does tell me the truth are the stars in the heavens that are matching this ancient architecture all over the earth. That's what I know. That's what I figured out. And what they done to the languages. And to try to hide this symbolic language of nature from us. They go to great lengths for that. They are not the true lodge. But the true lodge is here. That's a fact. And it's waking up. Now, again, the Maurice Cottrell. If you haven't seen The Secrets of the Super Gods, go back and watch it. And he's telling you the same thing I'm telling you. When the tongue moves one way on to the left, the eye switches. They switch in eyes. That's all they do. And that's part of the symbolism. How many celebrities have you seen that they show one eye or the other? They're telling you what, whether they belong to the solar pillar cult or to the lunar pillar cult. They're telling you which side they're on. How many, and they always stick the tongue out to one side or the other. That tongue needs to come straight out down the middle with both eyes open. You want all three eyes open. You want to be able to see from all three perspectives. That's why I come down on solar astrology, because it is leaning. Its dynamic is off. It's not being interpreted correctly at this point in history. And it's part of what the problem is. Because it's projecting down here as well, based on the dynamic we're sending back with a crooked pillar. But at the same time, it's good for edification. All script is good for edification. In the flash drive library, there's some pretty wicked books in there. There are Necronomicons in there. There are grimoires in there. And, but I've read them. I've reread a lot of them since I really began to understand the imagery of alchemy. And then you get a whole new meaning to that, just like Maurice Cottrell is showing us. If you look at it one way, it looks like debauchery. But if you look at it the other way, it looks like, in one aspect, they're trying to kill each other. But in the other aspect, they're making love. It's almost like the two sides of Mars, right? Make war, make love. But that middle pillar, that middle path, that third eye, to where you can see it all. You can see the left hand and the right hand. But you also see the middle, right down the middle. And it's not the bringing of the two together. That's the false lodge. You can't bring the solar pillar and the lunar pillar together. That's what I call the cult of the eclipse, where you bring lunar and solar together. Now, the lunar pillar can always enter the house of the solar pillar, but the solar pillar can never enter the house of the lunar pillar. You can see the moon in the day, but you can never see the sun at night. And the same with Fomalhaut. In the next video, I'm probably going to take this a step further, and I'm going to go into Islam and the Quran a little bit and talk about this exact same dynamic that we have going on, because they carried, all this came from there. They just changed the name of it. And they have the crescent and the star, which is the two pillars, the lunar pillar, and the star is, Aries rules the solar pillar, not the sun. Aries does. Aries is the top of that solar pillar. And they definitely worship Mars. Asia has always worshipped Mars. The yellow people and the white people have always worshipped Jupiter since the flood. Before the flood, it was the other way around. The yellow people worshipped Jupiter and the white people worshipped Mars. Mars in water, of course, not fire. The water of Scorpio. Different aspect. The feminine aspect of Mars. And the masculine aspect of Jupiter. And now we have the feminine aspect of Jupiter and the masculine aspect of Mars. Mars needs to meet his own self. That unbalanced Mars energy that is really dominating this age of, and it shouldn't be here. It's what I call the abomination that maketh desolate. It's that freaking Kairos symbol. It's destruction everywhere it goes. This is a symbol that would bring creation everywhere it goes. It would bring stability everywhere it goes. Just the inner circle. Just the inner one. And it's showing you the same symbols that we would translate to in the books of the Bible and the Quran. The imagery. The imagery is important. How many of you actually see, like, the crab here? You can actually see the dynamic of who is where. This circle here fits with the Picatrix. That's also in the flash drive book. Flash drive library. The Picatrix. That's their book of moon magic. That's what they've been using against us. And it all comes from Asia, or what we would call the Middle East. And it's older than Islam, and it's older than Christianity. It's older than Judaism. It's older than all three branches of the Abrahamic faiths. It's older than all of them. It's older than even the Hindu faiths, which that's Gemini, right? That's Mercury. They have Buddha. Buddha is Mercury. They have laughing Buddha. because they do the psilocybin mushroom. They evoke the laughter with the throat chakra for Mercury to channel Buddha, laughing Buddha, right? You must know the different shamans around the world, the different ages apply to the different races, and every race has a different set of DNA and blood types, and they also have different plants that connect them to their ancestors. India being Mercury and the psilocybin mushroom, hence laughing Buddha. Like ayahuasca for the serpent people of South America. All their symbolism is Quetzalcoatl. It's the feathered serpent. The serpent's wings were ripped off and he was cast into Asia. The Orient is known for the dragon, but his wings are gone. The serpent's wings are no longer there. He's just slithers on the ground now, on his belly, right? His wings are ripped off. So Asia also could probably are connected to serpent people as well, just not feathered serpent. There's a difference. And it's the same with the symbols changing. And I totally agree with Confucius that laws and words do not rule anything. The signs and the symbols do. And that's just nature's language. And we all know this language. It's all embedded into us. It's all in our DNA. And you can connect with your own. But you need to do it the proper way. It needs to be done the right way. I don't dabble in magic per se. I'll do rituals like smudging, but I don't like spell casting because I don't know what I'm doing, and I know that there's such a thing as the law of equivalent exchange. And for me to get something, I must give something. And if I'm not fully aware or understanding what the exchange is, then I'm not willing to enter into it. We know not when you're playing with magic. The price can be very high. We're always warned about that in all the horror movies, right? Be careful what you wish for. That's witchcraft. Witchcraft is really strong. Now, I do what's comfortable with me. When I was young, I grew up very connected to nature, very connected to the animals, and I still am. And that's what I know and what I trust. But it's hard for me I see the power in the spells that they're doing. I watch what others are doing and decipher the symbolism. And you can look at the symbolism that's being used today by the powers that be, and you know where that's coming from. You know the spell they're casting. You can look in the Picatrix, literally. It's a spell book, and you can see what they're doing just based on the imagery. But there are prices to pay for that. Now me, I prefer things naturally. I believe that I'm a natural initiate. I didn't choose it, it chose me. I didn't choose astrology, it chose me. I didn't choose any of this. This is not what I would have wanted for my life. Hell, I didn't even want a life. I didn't even want to be here. This place is horrible to me. If hell is any worse than this, I can't imagine it. Because the most horrible things ever thought of go down in this realm. It's incredible at how bad it really is when you look into that darkness, at what's really in there. Yeah, I wouldn't advise it. Don't look. Because when you look at it, it looks at you, by the way. This is a two-way street here. It's like in Lord of the Rings. You couldn't look into the eye. When you looked in, it looked back. And it's the same way with the stars. When you look at them, they look at you. When you observe them, they observe you. We are giving our energy to it. It responds in like. So if you give your energy to these two pillars, they're going to respond in like. If you ignore them, they will ignore you. You're no threat. You're not an asset, but you're not a threat to either side. You're just an observer. You're in the audience. But the time is coming that, like I said, everything's projecting down here. It's going to flip, and everything is going to project from here. Talk about witchcraft. All you're going to have to do in the next stage is think it, and it is. Because you moved from I believe, which has doubt embedded into it, to I know, which is full manifestation power. It's the knowing that manifests it all, not the believing. Belief in itself, you've got to believe the lie that's in the middle of that. It's the lie. It's not true. It's like doctors. They just practice medicine. They're practitioners. They're not masters. They're just practicing. They don't know what they're doing. They have a license to practice. That's why they call it malpractice. Malfeasance. They're not very good at practicing. So they're not really liable because they're not masters. This is a mutable age. We've mastered nothing. We've mastered nothing. But we will in the next stage. Because we're going to move out of this lie. And a lot of that's coming. A lot of Saturn is fixing to set the record straight on a lot of shit. All of this coming into Saturn's house. Let's go back over there. Alright, again, starting off today with Mars in Aries. And he ain't going to be playing. And it could be warlike. But when everything, the majority of the principles move over here in the next month, it's just going to be more and more constrictive. More and more, these two factions, this has been a long time coming between these two. And you can see who's backing who. Who's backing who. And Saturn's got a lot more power over here. Everything's better when the higher self is in control. It might look bad. It might feel bad to you. But it's for the... I don't even want to say greater good. It's for the simpler good. It's a thing that must need be. And it's very restrictive. As Jupiter is expansion and empire, Jupiter represents the emperor in Star Wars. He's empire. Well, Saturn represents the republic. It's contractive. Instead of explosion, it's implosion. The sun moves this way. It's telling the story this way in the long count calendar. And it's telling the story, well, right now it's telling the story that's told right here from this perspective. It's telling the whole story of the circle from this degree of Pisces right here. But it's fixing to be telling the story from this degree of Aquarius right here. Let's put up our... And you can see Aquarius, Aquarius. 1, 2 blocks. 1, 2, 3 blocks here. So here. And that story changes. Actually, the story remains the same. It's just being told, it's like a remake, and told from a different narrative, a different perspective. Kind of like what they've been doing to the movies, right? They've been doing all these remakes, like Willy Wonka. Myself, I hated the remake of Willy Wonka. I thought it was terrible as far as entertainment value went. But the message, the principle, the Aesop's fables behind it were the same. Just from a different perspective. Let's put us back in the Western tradition. I think this just does better for the Western mindset because we've been so programmed with them. But the other one is more accurate. So back to today. Back to this crazy energy that's going off, and I can't sleep. And Venus is fixing to move into the mutable cross as well. Coming out of that stability, everything is just going to be push, push, push. And everything's fixing to move. Mostly everything is fixing to move the power into the house of the government. Everything on the card will be on the cardinal cross but Neptune. And Neptune will be in Aquarius, which is also under Saturn's control, which is a good thing to me. And I know how they've represented Saturn as Satan, which is not true. That title belongs to Jupiter. Always has. He's the god of this world age. He's the king of the gods, the demigods, so to speak. He rules the lower chakras, or the underworld, not Saturn. Jupiter committed fratricide. He killed Kronos, right? Moon all by itself today. This can be a lonely day. I know what I wanted to talk about. Let me talk about 2-6. Let's bring the moon over. Oops. 11. Let's do the 2-11-11. Now I want to throw on some landscape, cardinal points, 0 horizon, and move this clock right there, right there. On February the 11th at 10:52, can you imagine the person that's going to be born that day at that time? This is an incredible chart right here. Everything is in Capricorn. Our Neptune is still under Saturn's control, and Mars and Uranus are over here in Aries, but they are behind the Earth. So whoever's, this is Central Standard Time, by the way, U.S. Central Standard Time. But February the 11th, right up, almost at 11 a.m. Right before 11 a.m. You want that right on the horizon. Right there. Incredible, incredible birth chart for whoever's born this day. Whoever's born this day, if it's a little, I don't even care if it's a little girl, they should be named Thalem. Quite an incredible day. The only downside to all of this is that Mercury is retrograde. The moon and the sun are conjunct in Capricorn. Venus and Jupiter are conjunct in Capricorn. and Mars, your Neptune is here, conjunct Fomalhaut. And Mars and Uranus are behind the ecliptic. Let's see what else is on the horizon here. Almost Algol, that's the eye of Medusa there, are considered the most evil star. The most evil star. You'll find that taught in mundane astrology. Everybody should check out the different astrologies. Spica almost on the horizon. But there, I wonder about the person born on this day. Those are the kind of things that go through my mind. Sorry, I don't mean to bore y'all to death. I do apologize. I just find different stuff fascinating to me. Let's go back to now. And to this crazy-ass energy that feels very plutonic to me. And like I said, it feels very subconscious to me. And Pluto's finishing its shift right on over into Capricorn. So all those who did not do their Pluto and Sagittarius work, all their shit's fixing, they're fixing to find out freaking Santa Claus and the Easter Bunny are not real. That's what's fixing to happen. Is a whole shitload of people are fixing to find out that Santa's not real. And somebody's going to have to be there to pick up the pieces and explain that to them. And that's kind of going to be our role. As you're the one that did your alchemy, you've already been through the shift, you can help process them when the shit hits the fan for them. Because it's going to hit them hard. Especially with what's coming down the pipe in the next 2 months. This is very fiery. With that Aries and Sagittarius energy playing out. And it's also very quaky with all that Capricorn energy coming in. All that cardinal energy. That's to the extreme. That's something to, cardinal is to the extreme. The apex. It's coming to the apex. Alright, y'all hang in there. Get your houses in order. Don't be afraid. Do not drop into the lower chakras. Remain in the upper chakras. Remain the observer. If you ignore it, it will ignore you. And you just go about your business. Do what you gotta do. You do you. And when the time comes, you'll be prepared and ready to step in and help those that are closest to you that did not make the transition, that are fixing to go through the shift in a more personal way because they refused to do it while they were given the opportunity of Pluto and Sagittarius. So very fiery. It could get emotional. It could get volatile because that fire is aspecting. Look, they could lose their mind. This Uranus is all up in this. They could have a mental freaking breakdown and just lose their freaking minds on a conscious and a subconscious level. Pluto playing cardinal and fire, and Mars in cardinal fire. He's aspecting both Sagittarius and Capricorn. He's not going away just because the shift occurs. He only intensifies. The aspect only grows tighter. What do we have here? Capricorn and Aries are at a 90-degree angle because they're on the same cross. And Sagittarius and Aries are at a 120-degree angle because they're in the same element. A trine is 120 and a square is 90. When you say something is squared, out of the Vedic, that in alchemy, that just means it's on the same cross. If something is trine, that means it's in the same element. Elements aspect at 120 degrees and trines aspect at 90 degrees. If that helps you understand the transition between the lunar pillar understanding and the middle pillar. That's why I say you need to learn all of them. You need to look at all three. I don't want to put down solar astrology. I think it has its purpose, but I also think it's been manipulated and it's flawed. But I can see the flaw, and it's what has double-crossed us. But at the same time, the lunar pillar has great knowledge as well, which, again, I don't believe in practicing magic, especially that magic from the Picatrix, because there is a price to pay. And we're not told. My problem is we're not told what the price is. We're just told there's a price to pay. Oh, you want witchcraft? Okay, we can do that. But you're not told the bill until you've already cast the spell. And some of these gods, they can take a lot to get your witchcraft across. It could cost you your soul, the life of your children, the life of a friend or a loved one, the life of an animal. It could cost you your sanity. It could cost you whatever the price. And until they tell us that, I would never ever play with that. Because I do know about the law of equivalent exchange. And you reap what you sow. Here, if you live by the sword, you die by the sword. So if you still live under the law of the 10 Commandments, then that's how you're going to play out the end of your life. If you're still walking in blind faith and groupthink over here in Pisces, well, then that outcome is what's going to play out for you. But when you're in the know and you're walking in the law of equivalent exchange and you reap what you sow, then that's how it's going to play out for you. And this is the path I prefer to follow. I don't want to take a blind chance over here in Pisces of blind faith. And I definitely do not, I don't associate, or I can't connect with, or I feel no connection to this God of the law at all. And of course not, because he's 90 degrees at me. But he is also my balance. I just don't agree with unbalanced law. And Capricorn is going to fall under the law of equivalent exchange, because all things have been put under me, Fumhalt. It's world without end. It's 2 ages or 1. They're both ruled by Saturn. He's not divided. All things of these 2 ages all fall under Fumhalt. Can't wait. It's the golden age like we've never known. One we've never been told about. As a matter of fact, we've been told it's beyond our imagination what's coming. That it's beyond the golden ages of the past. It's going to be like platinum or some new metal. But it's going to be beyond the golden age. Beyond the yellow brick road. You know, they never told us the story of the red brick road. There's a white brick, a red brick, and a yellow brick there. There were other roads to take. They don't tell you about those. And a lot of times, again, it's not what they're saying, it's what they're not saying. And if you ignore something long enough, it'll go away. It's like covetousness. It's what you see, right? You covet what you see. You covet what you see every day. Law over here, thou shalt not covet. Because the eyes are lustful. And that's Mars, who rules that. Mars rules that chakra. He also rules jealousy, right? He rules emotion. I'm a jealous God. You'll have no other God before me. I'm jealous. That's all straight up Aries. but we're moving into Capricorn. Everything's going to be moving into Capricorn. So it's going to be slow going. It's going to be patient. It's going to be orderly. It will be putting things in order. Their whole premise of this is order out of chaos. They've created the chaos. Now they're ready to manifest their order. And unfortunately, those in power are being dominated over by that guy right there. Mars in the Cairo symbol. He's ruling the show over the whole frickin' age. So it's not really Capricorn energy at all. It's Jupiter-Mars energy. But Saturn's in control this time. Saturn's in control now. So we should expect the unexpected. There's going to be a lot uncovered. Veils are coming down. Secrets are coming out. Saturn is about simplicity. Less is more. The truth. It's what I call hard truth. My mother used to have a phrase. Tough love. It's tough love. There you go. It's tough love. Doing it for your own good. You may not like it now, but you'll be grateful later. That's the way that should be said. Nothing to fear. That's just going to throw you into the lower chakra and just energize the thing you're fighting against even more. So, do like Merlin did to Queen Mab and just turn your back on them. Do like they did in Poltergeist and just roll your TV out onto the balcony and then cancel your subscriptions. Now, you need to be writing your own story instead of watching somebody else's anyway. Everybody needs to start a journal. Everybody needs to open their YouTube channels. You do. You need to put your story out there. You need to get it into the cloud, so to speak. Think about what I'm telling you here. There are hidden messages and everything. Some things you just can't come right out and say. And I get it. I finally get it. It's the profane. They can't understand. They're not supposed to understand. It's not their time yet. Everybody gets his day in the sun. Everybody. But this age is not for everybody yet. Everybody's on their own path. Everybody's got their own cross to bear. And we shouldn't be trying to make them bear crosses that are not their own. And yes, you should help your brother carry his cross. If you see someone stumble and fall, don't be their donkey and carry it for them. But you can help them up and get back on their feet again, no problem. That's as it should be. You do unto others as you would have them do unto you. And that's the only way to live. If you want somebody to be cruel to you, then be cruel. But if you want respect, if you want love, if you want honor, then that's what you have to be. That's the law of equivalent exchange. You will reap what you sow. We're fixing to get a taste of that. We're not in Aquarius yet. We're still in Jupiter's age, but right now we're fixing to get a glimpse after the dust has settled, after all this goes down and the dust has settled and Saturn is clearly in control. By the next eclipse, 2024, you're going to get a good vision of what Aquarius is going to be like. We're finally going to have a template. And I've got my friend coming in who's setting up the website. And we should launch this week or next week. Coming up anyway. That's what's on board for me this week, is getting all that done in order. And I've been holding back a lot of material because I want to put it on the website instead of YouTube. That way I can be a lot more forthcoming without fear of being cut off. I can say what I want to over there. It'll be my channel, or my site. And my next video will probably be about that, is to launch the new site. So y'all hold on, I'm still catching up in the background, getting there, almost there. I'm happy about Mars in Aries myself, because I am Capricorn and I will get a lot done. But I know I'm going to be triggered. I know that it could get volatile and that I could even end up going to war. But I also know that I'll win that war. Hands down. Capricorn wins this war over Aries, finally. And because all the power is going to be in Capricorn and not the collective consciousness in Aries stuck over there. While Saturn, which is the low root chakra, the Mars, the root chakra, is going to be at war with the upper chakra, who has control of everything else. Everything. Neptune, Pluto, Mercury, Venus, Jupiter, everything. So, yeah. It's going to be an interesting year, to say the least. And there will be tears. There will be destruction. There will be natural disasters. Probably some of the greatest we've seen in our lifetime we can expect to start beginning this year straight through 2024. Because all this is about the cardinal cross now. So it will be to the extremes. We're almost finished with this mutation. We're looking at the last remnants, Venus, the Sun, and Mercury, the last remnants of the mutation and Pluto being here. And then all that energy is going to shift from the transmutable state to the cardinal state, from chaos into order. Y'all know what to do. Be the love that you want to see in this world. What you put out there is what you're going to get back, especially with Saturn coming in control. He plays fair and square. You will get what you deserve, karma or dharma. The next 10 days, like I said, I've got a lot of company in my house. I've got more coming, and my birthday's this month. So I might not post as many videos as I'd like to, but I'm getting there. And we're getting it done, and we're going to get everything launched. And y'all know what to do. Bank your karma. And, hey, thank those that have sent donations to me. They're rare during the holidays. And I get it. Everybody, especially with what all's been going on this year. But just thank y'all to those who do donate and support this channel. Because it is 100% viewer supported.